All right, magic voice. All right, hello everyone. My name is Michael, and I am moderating a game of the Kingdom RPG. With us, we have Louise, we have Robbie, and we have Richard, who is joining us for this third session of our series. And I think we should start by just quickly summarizing what happened at the last of our last session. We have been playing the Dwarf Mountain Kingdom Seed scenario, and here's the basic gist. Well, actually, let's start by in the first two sessions, I was playing Wyrmblood, who was the kind of the master smith of the dwarfs of Dwarf Mountain. Robbie, you were playing Revik, who was a noble, or yes, a dwarf noble exiled from his own homeland, and he's been living in Dwarf Mountain. We have Louise, who was playing Bella, who is the Stone Seer and also the daughter of the last king of Dwarf Mountain, and Stephen, who is not with us tonight. He played Gildun, who was the king of Dwarf Mountain, who was slain by a dragon, which had been ruling and oppressing and lording it over the dwarves the past 4 decades, until we got crafty and poisoned the dragon using poison that was supplied by a splinter faction of the kobolds, who were also followers of the dragon. Over the first 2 sessions, our characters basically got in a big struggle, a big power struggle that sparked off the initial debate about whether we freely or newly liberated dwarves of Dwarf Mountain would provide refuge to the kobolds that had helped us kill off the dragon that had been plaguing us for so long. Those kobolds were now being persecuted by the other kobolds, who were not happy that their dragon lord had been slain. We eventually did provide refuge to them, and in the process, my smith temporarily sparked off a big revolution, seized the throne of Dwarf Mountain for himself by inflaming or by getting to the court of other dwarves who were not happy with the idea of making room for the kobolds in their mountain. Bella wasn't having that. Her father, the undead Dwarf King, had been pushing on Bella to reclaim her rightful manor as the rightful ruler of Dwarf Mountain. Meanwhile, Revik, the exiled dwarf lord, was exerting his natural charisma and command in trying to persuade Dwarf Mountain into helping out the kobolds. Eventually, Bella finally took a stand and overthrew the corrupt rule of Wyrmblood, the master smith, who was driven by a kind of like an insane jealousy of the kobolds whose blacksmithing craft had put his own and his life's work to shame so badly. Bella unleashed her Stone Seer magic to invoke a very powerful curse upon Wyrmblood. He fled into the deep darkness of Dwarf Mountain. Bella became the new ruler of Dwarf Mountain. Unfortunately, her invocation, she unleashed or awakened something terrible and powerful deep within the mountain that we may encounter in the near future. And now we're at a point where the kobolds of the Freescale Coalition are starting to integrate within the remnants of the dwarves of Dwarf Mountain. The other kobolds are the other remaining kobolds on the outside have now attacked the homeland of Revik. And we're now at a point where we need to decide whether we're going to help them or not. And that is how I've defined the crossroad. Do we save Revik's homeland from the Wyrmblood King? And I'm actually going to add that last bit there. I'm typing it in our character keeper. And yeah, I think that's... is there anything else I need to add to this whirlwind summary? Have I forgotten anything huge? Or... Well, certainly I need to introduce our new, I guess, the two new characters we have. I already mentioned that Luis is playing Bella, the new, I guess, Queen of Dwarf Mountain. Robbie continues to play Revik, the exiled Dwarfen Lord. I have adopted a new character, a kobold, Hax Thrushmouth, who was introduced in our last session as one of the captains that that Revik has kind of been tutoring in his new war college, which combines the tactics and the strategies of both Dwarf and kobold. And finally, we have Richard. Would you mind, Richard, introducing your character?
Yeah, no, my character is Elam Gardar. He is a conservative dwarf who was on the Maddox a decade and is now returning to find the entire mountain in upheaval, which he's not very happy with. And he's trying to kind of get the pieces laid out to put the house back in the order that he thinks it should be in.
All right. I'm just getting my notes down here. All right. So why don't we get this session going? I am just looking over the crossroads sheet. I'm going to go ahead and take the first turn, and I'm also looking at this handy dandy how to play a scene in Kingdom guide that I wrote up. So I'm going to, once again, the crossroad is, do we save Revik's homeland from the Wyrmblood King? And my character, Hax Thrushmouth, certainly feels obligated to continue the fight now that we've secured safety and refuge for the coalition. There's still many fighters amongst of us, we free kobolds, who want to fulfill our debts of honor, especially to Revik. So I'm going to envision a scene where we are. I would like to invite Revik into the scene, and I think we are. I see this as being kind of like a plotting. Maybe I think we're meeting in the Hall of the Silver Mirror, because I don't think we've done a lot in this location yet, and it's a neat location. This is a grand chamber bisected by the channel cut for the eponymous underground river before it cascades out of the mountain. And I think this will be a good place to discuss strategy. Also, there's a waterfall, so it'll be hard for people to eavesdrop on us. I think we've definitely got Revik there, and perhaps even Bella, because you are the ruler. So we're not going to plot any big strategy without you as well.
You better not. I got more spells up my sleeve. I just can't use them right now.
So, yeah, basically, I'm. Hax is basically he's there. He's probably got some of his kobold lieutenants with him, and he's just basically going to. He's going to start the meeting by offering his condolences to Revik. Well, actually, no. I think we start by getting maybe getting a report on the front. Revik, do you think you would be here or at the homeland, given that the Wyrmblood King is continuing to attack your old homeland? I guess I guess this is where we start defining why Revik is in exile and what her current feelings are towards her homeland in the first place.
Yeah, I think Revik is there, and
Okay.
I think you know that there are questions about exactly what Revik's relationship is to the homeland, given that she went in exile, and Revik has been a bit vague and a little bit reluctant to reveal exactly what the circumstances of the exile were.
Mm-hmm. Well, since you're there and not at this meeting,
No, I think I am at the meeting. Right.
Okay.
I have not gone back to defend my homeland.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now we're getting a report. I don't know, I don't know, maybe some owl flew in or something, kick it Harry Potter style. But the news is not good. It's clear that that the Wyrmblood King has basically engaged in a fight of pure, almost pure spite. You know, because there's really not a huge strategic value in the kobolds striking this area. It's fairly far off. I'm envisioning this as like I don't know, maybe more hills than mountains. Does that sound good, Robbie?
Yeah.
Not certainly not as well fortified as the Gunnerhorn is. And however inadequate our weapons may have been compared to the kobolds, theirs perhaps are even less so. And he's just basically, you know, not to trigger any X cards or anything, but it seems like he's just engaging in slaughter for its own sake. And in fact, I think he's like in maybe leaving bodies arranged in a way where he's clearly giving a signal, and Hax realizes that he's basically just he fears that the Wyrmblood King is basically like calling out the Freescales as cowards and daring them to come out and you know, fight boldly like before that, or you know, maybe he's just like they'll putting out a message that this is kind of like, you know, how he's getting his revenge against us for leaving the kobold tribe. So after getting that report, Hax basically says that, you know, now that we have established our, you know, protection, a safe haven for the civilians amongst the Freescale Coalition, that those of us who are used to the battlefield are ready, you know, right now to fulfill our debts of honor to Revik, and I think he'd say, and of course to Bella, but I think Hex feels closer to Revik, and says that they are willing to depart now and put an end to the Wyrmblood King once and for all. Now that they've secured protection for their civilians, they can focus on just like ending it with the Wyrmblood King once and for all. And that you need only say the word.
And you know, Revik is visibly shaken by the reports, but after taking a minute to recompose herself, she you can tell she's really kind of thinking things through, and says, it does not look good for my people, but and there definitely is part of me that would like to boldly and honorably confront the Wyrmblood King to get immediate revenge. But I think we need to be a little bit more devious, that maybe we need to think a little bit more like kobolds in this affair. The Wyrmblood King has clearly sent a great contingent of his troops to fight my people. And that surely means that the Wyrmblood King's home in the mountain is less defended. I think we could easily sell the Wyrmblood King that a contingent of kobolds and dwarves are going to meet him on the field of battle near where my people reside. But we could use that as a feint and actually send a contingent directly to the Wyrmblood King's own home and strike there.
You said it yourself. The kobolds are, and I mean this with the utmost respect for your people, Hex, a sneaky people. That whole lair could be filled with traps from ceiling to roof. We can just send troops in there. We don't know how they've changed their home before abandoning it. They wouldn't just leave it empty with no resource to counteract our invasions.
Hex, do you have any spies among the Wyrmbloods?
Yeah, in fact, I do. Since I'm a perspective character, but yeah, I do. I think I can. It'll just be a matter of whether I could get a message to them without without blowing their cover. But yes, I could. What would you like me to find out? Are you thinking about finding out oh yeah, what are you thinking?
Well, if we could get some actual information about the status of their hold in the mountains, and see if it is now vulnerable.
Yeah, I can certainly do that. So what I'm hearing right now, unless there's any other decisions to be made, that what we've decided is that I'm going to see that we're going to have Hex try to find out if a surprise raid at the citadel of the Wyrmblood King is feasible by trying to get some information from the inside.
I guess what would concern me also is well, I mean, one is there's a risk about this, and then it's also this issue of we obviously, if we do this, we're not going to be immediately lending aid to Revik's group. We're basically, at least for a period of time, are kind of leaving them still to defend themselves in a situation where it doesn't seem like it's going particularly well for them. So I guess, Revik would be, I guess, turning to Bella and see, I mean, both what her thoughts are and if Bella is feeling like this is possibly a wise course of action to go after the Wyrmblood's hold in the mountain, whether the dwarves could be sold on this idea.
So just so I'm clear, the Wyrmblood's hold is actually next door, and they're fighting our way over there at Revik's home, right?
Mm-hmm. Or at least some of them are. Yeah, I mean that we don't. I guess we don't know exactly how many they've sent, but they've obviously sent some decent force over there.
Do we have a touchstone here? Or which you the two of your perspectives? Yeah.
I believe Richard is playing a touchstone right now.
Yeah. I'm not present at this particular.
Have you? Well, Richard, has Ellen established himself has kind of reestablished his presence in Dwarf Mountain at this point?
I'd say he's kind of doing the rounds, paying respects. Like there are people who know he's back, and but it's he's trying to keep a relatively low profile.
Okay, I was going to ask if if he thinks he would have wanted to be present at this strategic discussion. She certainly could have.
I think he's actually like paying respects at the Hall of the Unburied.
Okay.
At the moment, so I can, and I feel like well, I mean, how much would that smooth things out for me to be present?
Well, it really just.
I mean, I don't know if we want to introduce the conflict between your and my character this early, like because I think like that's gonna. That's a like I killed your dad. It might kind of dominate the scene if we have to resolve that right away.
Okay, that's fair. I just wanted to get a sense of whether you wanted to be in the scene or not.
No, I can.
Okay.
I don't know that it makes sense. I'm not quite penetrated that far into the day-to-day governance.
Okay. Well, barring anything else, I think I'm happy to just kind of like end the scene here. I think we've got a direction for what's happening next, and I can just go ahead and exercise my role power and move the plot that way. Yes.
I think the queen still has to give her say. Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
These are my people. I did the whole coup and everything. It cost me my powers. I think she looks at Revik, and she's so confused because she can't trust Revik anymore. She's revealed herself as a very complicated person that has a lot of plots among plots. But she's lost the touch that she had with the people. She can't use her powers anymore to basically spy on everyone and to get a read on what they're feeling. And she's feeling kind of like adrift. She has a lot of power, but no real knowledge on how to apply it. So to the best of her knowledge, this sounds like a good plan. It won't cost any dwarven soldiers, which is a major concern of the conservatives. And it could earn us more territory, which is always nice. So she says, if you're okay with leaving your homeland unattended for a little longer, I would endorse this plan of making a foray into the Wyrmblood King's lair.
I'll go. Okay. In that case, we'll go ahead and have Hax try to get word on what's going on in the Citadel. So I will. See, so we've. So with that, we'll say that he's at the end. I'll go ahead and use my perspective power to make a prediction based on what Hex hears back from his internal contacts. In the meantime, before we resolve that, shall we do reactions from the other players? Yeah, shall we start with Robbie with a Revik reaction? Oh, and for the record, I also I don't know if you noticed, but I added a new file to the Kingdom folder called "How to Play a Scene in Kingdom," where I just kind of, based on your request, Louise, I finally got around to producing a kind of a step-by-step, like what are the actions you do to play out a turn. But hopefully that will be helpful. But anyway, we'll start with reactions starting with Revik, if you have one.
Yeah, I think you see after this meeting, Revik has pulled together a small group of some of the other exiles that are still here. And I think you see them consoling each other, but also you see Revik, trying to kind of get them fired up with this idea that we may be able to get some real revenge on the Wyrmbloods by kind of doing this tactical move of taking it right to their hold.
Okay. Are you using your command power to?
Well, I don't have a command power anymore. I mean, I guess I'm right.
You're a perspective also.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Well, do you want to make a prediction, or do you want to use your power to make a prediction about where this is going?
I'm gonna say a prediction would be. So I go back to the crossroads. Do we save Revik's homeland from the Wyrmblood King? And I'm going to say no. And if we don't do that, right, then I can kind of predict what would happen if we don't do this.
Yes.
I would say I guess the obvious is that we would gain, Dwarf Mountain would gain an advantage over the Wyrmbloods. Does that seem reasonable?
I mean, if we don't
if we don't save the homeland directly, which would be, so we're if we take the course of action of not attacking or sending people off to defend the homeland, we would maybe I'll specify we would gain an advantage over the Wyrmbloods in terms of taking over their stronghold in the mountain.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So, yeah, would you want to maybe say it that directly then? That if we don't fight for the homeland, that we'll seize control of, I guess, the Wyrmblood Citadel.
Yes.
All right, and don't forget to add your name to that prediction.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yes, Richard. At a certain point, when the crossroads gets resolved, when it comes time to resolve the crossroad, whoever the power players will determine whether it's yes or no, and then each perspective player can basically decide whether their prediction comes true, and as long as there aren't any contradictions or conflicts, it's basically up to whoever made the prediction to say whether it happens or not, which is why we note who makes each prediction. All right. So
then I'm determining the reaction then.
Yes, you control. Well, yeah, you control what Dwarf Mountain as a whole, how they feel about everything that's going on. And I think you also get to check extra boxes, so you have more influence over whether we get to resolve the crossroad or hit a crisis or just try to keep things neutral and have more time passing. Hopefully that'll become more apparent as we play out our turns. So before we get to you, but I think that's the biggest deal about the touchstone. So that is Revik's reaction. How about Bella?
I think for Bella, it's not going to be anything game changing. She's just going to give the order of what we agreed on, and sit in the empty council room in her big stone throne and gaze into the darkness, feeling disconnected.
Okay. Yeah, still uneasy with the crown.
Especially since her father has apparently finished his unsolved business and moved on.
Yeah, it seems to be. I wonder if we'll ever see him again. So that is Bella. And finally, Richard, for a reaction scene, this is basically meant to be just a really quick scene where after another player finishes their main turn, although I do still have to do the advance and resolve cards, but that'll be the last thing. So if you can just, if you want, you can just give a brief description of where you are and maybe what you do in reaction to the scene. We could assume that you've got enough influence where you can find out what's going on, and then you can do one of the following: either use your role power, change your role, or overthrow someone else's role. But since this is a reaction, you can only do one of those things.
Yeah. Okay, so I am in the Hall of the Unburied.
Where there are dwarf ghosts.
Right, and this is my understanding. It's like an area where people people show up there to commune with these ghosts, or is it more what role does this place have in the society?
We haven't defined it yet, so it's
okay. I'm comfortable doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it could either be something that dwarves go to all the time, or maybe something they avoid because it's too painful. It may be just up to how you feel people,
Okay, I'm thinking that it's somewhere between like a pilgrimage and like a Dia de los Muertos kind of thing. People go there to try to like appease these restless dead. And it's if you have business that concerns the people who have passed here, of which I have many comrades, then it's a place where like you can sanctify an oath. And so when I show up with like my small the small crew of people that are kind of my central group, there's a little bit of a stir as I enter the hall, and various kind of it's very much a haven for traditionalists, and as I make my offering, I just I've gotten the temperature of what's going on. I kind of sense the way the wind is blowing in terms of like throwing our support behind solving kobold problems. And I'm not happy about that. And I start to raise the idea that, shedding dwarven blood for kobolds is just a complete act of disrespect to the sacrifice that the people who haunt these halls made. And so I think I'm going to be provoking a crisis.
Ooh, okay, is that a provoking a crisis? I'm not sure if that's a...
Well, I mean, like the use of my role to... how does it, Liz? Okay,
I haven't played the touchstone yet, so I can't remember.
Yeah, I can opt to check crisis if I think the kingdom is in trouble.
I do believe this is
that's my scene.
When you're running
that's
the crossroads.
My scene, right? So no, I'm just reacting. So I'm laying the seeds for that. Like I'm starting to like plant the seed that these decisions that the current leadership are making are like disrespectful to the memory of the sacrifice that all these people made.
Mm-hmm. I got you. Yeah, I think that I see what I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to do the double box check thing that I was talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, given that you don't believe in shedding dwarf blood to solve kobold problems, What does Ellen think about Ellum think about the fact that kobolds are currently attacking dwarves off in Revik's homeland?
Well, that makes a great deal more sense to me, and I've heard of this Revit character, and he's kind of on my list of people that I don't have immediate contact with to try and get into his company, because like I'm perfectly willing to spin this as to drive a wedge between him and Bella, or her and Bella. Because well, I want to isolate Bella so that she has to turn to me eventually.
Sure.
And so this is really about like creating a situation where like he is Revik would be a sympathetic figure for people who like don't want to involve themselves in aiding the kobold cause.
Mm-hmm.
And like if it involves going someplace else and killing kobolds, that's so much better.
Okay. All right. With that reaction, I think I'll go ahead and wrap up my turn by advancing the cards. I think I'm going to, let's see, go back to Crossroad. I feel like, first of all, I want to go ahead and make my own prediction based on what Hax hears from his contacts. And let's see, since I'm predicting an attack, the way I would interpret an attack on the Wyrmblood Citadel would be saving Revik's homeland, because that would be certain to distract the forces of the Wyrmblood King to stop their attack on the homeland and go back to reclaim his home base. So I'm going to make a prediction under the yes column. And, well, I think I will say that lots of dwarfs die. Like, I'm going to say a catastrophic loss of dwarves at the Wyrmblood Citadel. So what Hax hears is that, much like Bella had alluded to, it's kind of a death trap, that he still has a lot of forces there, and it's basically, I mean, the whole, I guess they've got their own mountain, Kobold Mountain, I guess. Actually, no, it's we're trying. No, it was like a canyon waste. It was kind of a canyon wasteland terrain, if I remember correctly from the last session. So
reverse mountains.
It was
right, reverse mountains, anti mountains. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so
a bunch of it was a huge cave network or something.
Okay, yeah, we'll say Wyrmblood Caves then. Wyrmblood Canyon, because that sounds awesome. That it's yeah, they do still have a lot of, like, maybe even more kobolds than you had expected, and they're just like masters of maybe even masters of like ambushes and camouflage, to the point where it would be a very costly siege. So that will be my prediction. And I will go ahead and let's see. I think just the fact that you've initiated this plan means we're on the way to resolving this crossroad. So I'll put a checkbox in there. And I think that is the end of my first turn. And we'll move from here to Robbie's turn next.
Okay. And I can I'm thinking of a scene where we would get a messenger from Revik's people who has made his way to Glimmerhorn with kind of, it's going to be, I'm going to need like somebody to take on, I guess, the role of this messenger from my people, from Revik's people to Glimmerhorn. And I'm kind of imagining that Bella would be there, Revik would be there, and I'd like to get we'll have maybe Elam eavesdropping, and then you can decide whether Elam is just going to sit eavesdropping or is going to intervene in the scene. That would be kind of left up.
Well, yeah, this could be the scene where I'm finally like ready to make my presence known to Bella.
Yeah, but we'll start.
And but that's what I'm on the way to do.
Yeah.
And so like I stop short. And then make the decision based on what happens.
Yeah. And then Mike, would you play the kind of emissary who's coming from Revik's people? And I think the gist of it would be to make some type of plea that that situation has quickly deteriorated, and if some type of direct help it is not sent, it does not look good for Revik's people to be able to hold on for very much longer.
Sure. I'm going to go. Can I define the character as your brother?
Okay.
And we're going to call him Grandok.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going there. So, yeah, I'm there.
And I guess location, should I define the location?
Sure, please do. If you've got one, if one jumps out at you.
I mean, maybe we'll just put it at I think I mean, maybe at Hammergate. I mean,
that makes sense.
Not real public. We could be off to the side having this kind of conversation, but this would be the main entrance to the fortress where we would be gathering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think sure. So I'll arrive there. I'm going to be he'll basically just look like a clearly someone who's been drastically someone who's clearly been through a terrible battle. I think he's lost an eye. I think he's also let's just see where this, let's just play to find out where this goes, but I think he's also clean shorn, like his beard is gone. And certainly you haven't seen him in it's probably been like years at least, if not like a decade or decades even, depending on how long you've been exiled. How long has Revik been exiled in Dwarf Mountain? Like was she there through like a lot of the dragon occupation, or did she arrive after the dragon occupation was done? Or
I think after the dragon was done, but maybe we imagined that prior to coming to Glimmerhorn, she had spent some time in exile, kind of wandering around before finding her way to Glimmerhorn and getting some type of acceptance there.
I see that. Yeah, it makes sense that you'd just be like a wandering exile, and then only after the dragon's gone is that you would have had the opportunity to establish a new home base. So the beard, the beard situation is new to you, and the missing, of course, the missing eye is new too. So, but when he arrives, and we're gonna say that he arrived alone because they couldn't spare anyone else to come with him, and he just simply says, "Hello, Revik."
Oh,
I suppose you weren't warned that that this was going to be me, was it?
and I think Revik is shaken and says, "Grandok, you're I didn't expect to see you here, and tell me what has happened."
Just before we continue, Robbie, how interested or inclined are you even to explore like getting into this stuff? Or
I think this is good.
Okay,
I like the drama of this is good and bringing up some of the tension here.
Mm-hmm. Also, I'm just trying to get just get a little bit of a taste about what drove you to exile in the first place. But yes. I'm sorry. What was the question? What was the question you had?
Well, I mean, Revik is shaken, but is I think Revik puts an arm over Grandok's shoulder and says, tell me what news do you bring? What has happened to you?
Well, we've lost. I'm gonna say he's gonna say that he's lost the vineyards, the family vineyards. I'll say even they've been burned down by the Wyrmbloods. They did that themselves with their own fire, and we had to fall back from there. But now they're just raising the farmlands. It seems they're probably going to south the earth next as far as the way they're going. But they, sorry.
Well, these are lands and our family homelands. That's a tragic loss. But what about the people? Are they have they retreated? Have they found any way to safety?
They're coalescing in the valley, and in the 5-star valley, let's call it. And that was, I said they're basically, we just sent them. Yeah, they've just been hiding there. We've been trying to fight off the kobolds where we could. We had no idea what they were capable of. I mean, they were just kobolds, but they're. It seems we strike at them and their armor does not yield, and their spears cut through our chain as if it were nothing. And it's just, and we've been trying to fortify, but there just wasn't enough time. So now we're just we hear that Revik, what is this I hear about kobolds sneaking their way into the mountain too?
You mean sneaking their way into this stronghold?
That's right. Is there any truth to the rumor? Does Bella want to like chime in at this point?
Did you say Bella?
Yeah, given that given that he's that Grandoc has started talking about like kobolds and sneaking in and infiltrating Dwarf Mountain. And I don't know if that you don't get a sense that he's actually realizes that you're the ruler here now.
Look, I didn't realize I was in the scene.
Yes, I think Robbie had asked that you were there, and I believe Ellum is eavesdropping. Is that correct?
Yes.
If you want to be in the scene, of course. Bella doesn't have to be there, of course, but I think Robbie had thought that you might belong in there.
I just totally missed that part where I was invited there. All right.
Oh, whoops.
And I'm there. And I think she stands up at that. She goes, could you elaborate on that, please?
Okay. Oh. We've and I think he simply says, he's like, Revik, who is this?
This is Bella. She's a very important, influential person here at Glimmerhorn.
I think she's not actually. She's icy glare, and she says, "I am the queen, and at my throne, sorcery and blood. You do well to remember that."
Oh, of course. With that, Grandoc, makes the appropriate sign of deference to the queen. My apologies. Clearly we've let. Clear, this is what happens when you let diplomatic relations drop, I suppose. My apologies, Your Majesty. But
you have no way of
anyway, I have come here to basically to beg for help. We don't know how much further we can hold out. And yeah, basically Grandoc makes the case about how the kobolds they came out here. It was the last thing they expected, and that they seem to be just on a tear of like pure destruction, and not even really really fighting strategically. They're not fighting a war of occupation. They seem to be just like it seems to be pure destruction. And
and I think Revik at this point says, Grandoc, it tears my heart to hear your report of what is happening in our homeland, but you must know.
Why is there a but there?
Well, I think Grandoc, you know why there's a but. You know that I was exiled precisely because of my what was considered to be my unorthodox and unwholesome tactics on the battlefield. And now you are coming here because you need help, and I would like nothing more than to help you, but I don't know if my assistance is going to be well received given the circumstances that led to my forced departure.
Well, I think our people are just desperate enough to send me. They may be desperate enough this may be your chance at coming home and actually being welcomed this time, if you would have it.
it almost seems to me that the only hope for us is not to. I can't see how we are going to have success over the Wyrmbloods. It almost seems like it's come to the point when we need to abandon the field and let the Wyrmbloods have the land, but at least save what people we can.
Where would they go? And then at this point, he's looking to Bella as well. Where would we find refuge here as well? You've accepted what exile? Would you now accept thousands or whatever the number is, my lady, or your majesty?
She's trying so hard to keep her composure here. She says, "This is a decision that will have to be greatly deliberated. Our numbers have received a sudden increase not too long ago, and I don't know if we have the resources to take in as many people. And you know as well as I do that the loss of a dwarven home is a loss to all of dwarven kind. It would be best not to forfeit our homes so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But it will be considered."
While you deliberate, may I ask at least refuge for? May I at least seek refuge while you deliberate, so that I will be until such time as you have a decision that I can take back to whatever remains of my people.
I think I'm going to burst from the shadows at this point. What I have heard deeply offends me. Why are we turning our back on this brave warrior who fought his way through danger to warn us of the deep distress that his people are in, while we sit in our caverns and plot with kobolds to enact their machinations against their fellows? We should be mustering our forces to lend immediate aid. I don't even know why this is a matter for discussion.
Yes, Grandock has taken a peck at the idea that it wasn't kobolds sneaking in, but actually they're the ones getting the refuge that he was seeking for his own people. He's kind of beside himself at this point.
As well he should be.
Where does Revik try to take this?
Well, I think Revik, Revik looks at Elam and says, I don't know how much of this you have heard, but it is clear that things are going poorly for my people. And unfortunately, it from what I can gather, it seems as though continuing on with the same kind of fight that has led to their destruction is only going to lead to more destruction. I think that the wisest course of action has to be some type of effective retreat to save whatever souls we can from this terror of the Wyrmbloods. I know. I
was just getting this new. I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
Yeah, I just say that it breaks my heart to have to abandon a land that my people have held for so long, but at some point when you've gotten ample evidence that the people are not effective against an enemy, you have to kind of just abandon the field and reevaluate your goals.
And Bella is just looking at this new, very outspoken dwarf up and down. It's like, what's this new old fart gonna do to make my life harder now?
I take I like peer at her, and eventually, like I know who she is, but I act as though I'm recalling who she is, and bring up a as soon as I recall, it's a memory, an embarrassing memory of her childhood that I associate with her, and express some amount of shock that this little child would be here, and then to be so lacking in conviction, and is just a deep disappointment, and it's likely her father is deeply disappointed.
Oh,
Oh, you actually say those words?
Yes.
Oh, it's on. You see the red coming up her face. Like, I think Bella just takes one step towards you, and she makes one motion with hands and some of the power. And like this duo of guards, a standing guard, just right over there, because the queen doesn't go anywhere in a company, not after a coup happened. And they step up, and she says, "Give me one good reason why I shouldn't throw you in the dungeons at this minute for disrespecting your queen."
You disrespect the vow you made to your people when you ascended the throne.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
My people were content in being led by a bunch of traitors and plotters. I stepped in to save them from themselves, and I won't have my resolve questioned by someone who wasn't even here. You are in need of a timeout, Lord, whatever your name is. I trust you find the stone cells rather comfortable until I'm ready to speak to you again.
Yeah, it sounds like you're jumping ahead to the reactions of or reaction actions here. That's
it could be just an action, like I'm using my roll while in a scene.
That's true. I guess that's I was always I was unclear whether I know that's how we've been playing it so far, but I was still looking over the rules again. I'm unclear as to whether you do in fact get to do. But let's just, we've been playing it that way so far. So let's just I guess keep.
By the way, Richard, are you okay with being forcibly removed here?
Oh yeah. No, I have a plan.
He's the touchstone. He knows what he's gonna do next.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you can make me into Mandela if you want.
Oh my. It says in a scene you can use your role. I mean, that's what my role does.
Right. Yeah,
that's the first example of someone in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's. Well, let me tell you this. Does anyone want to challenge that?
Oh yeah.
Because that's the thing that can happen. Yeah. Yeah. Anytime someone uses their role power, anyone else is welcome to challenge it. And does anyone, in particular, Richard, want to challenge it?
No, she's played right into my hands.
Okay. Well, it looks like that's.
Bella, she never wanted it.
I built those dungeons.
Okay, so that will be. Okay, so that was. I guess Robbie. I guess the guards take him away.
Yeah, I don't think Revik is going to is gonna challenge that, and Revik will turn to Bella and say, Bella, we are all in a hard spot here, and I just want you to know that I respect your new position as the leader, and I know that I'm not the only one that respects you. I think you have widespread respect among the dwarves here at Glimmerhorn, and I know that many look upon me with suspicion, but I certainly would be willing to lend whatever help I can in terms of leading us to a course of action that will lead to our not only our survival but our eventual restoration to former glory here.
So the first thing she thinks of, Revik is trying to angle for power, and now she has her brother here to help her do it. And I'm on full on like paranoia mode. I show no warmth after you give this beautiful manifestation of support. I just compose myself, like right in the crown on my head, and I just say, "Thank you for your kind words, Revik. I shall convene with my council and tend to matters of the crown and give you an answer as quickly as I can. Your brother is welcome to stay with us, just as long as it doesn't meddle in matters of Glimmerhorn." And it's like this underhanded threat of "Don't plot against me. I swear to God, I'll give you a stone beard as well." Even if I had to raise another dragon for it.
Oh.
That's subtext, by the way. She would never say that. Also, she's pretty aware that she did that last time. She's waiting for the shoe to drop. She hasn't told anyone that the dragon might very well be awakening because of what she did.
Mm. Okay, so Bella is aware of that.
Yeah. I had to pay a price for it, and I had to be conscious about it.
Robbie, is there anywhere is there anywhere else you'd like to continue the scene?
No, I think that's good for the end of the scene. I think at the end of the scene, say, with Grandok being given some refuge, you would just kind of see Revik with her arm over Grandok's shoulder, kind of taking him off to get him some refreshment and rest.
Mm. Very good. Let's move on to reactions, and then you, Robbie, you can do the card action. I think we got a pretty good reaction out of. I feel like you got a pretty good reaction out of Bella. I don't know that I have. I think the only reaction I might give is maybe there's a scene where Hax is like, just basically in the newly assigned kobold portion of the caves, and maybe when just because I want to like make a prediction, I think that somehow the Bella's kind of like getting stirred up, maybe caused another outburst of deep mysterious energy, like from within, but it's something that only the kobolds notice, because they got kind of like maybe a far off, like not super strategic or valuable portion of the caves, like kind of one of the more mysterious, not as well charted areas. And I'm going to say that just because another prediction will be, if we save Revik's homeland from the Wyrmblood Kings, that dark forces from deep under Glimmerhorn will run rampant, and that is a Hex prediction. If we do in fact save Revik's homeland, or perhaps more specifically, if we devote the time and the resources to doing that instead of anything else. That's my reaction. And finally, Elam, does Elam have a reaction scene as he's getting thrown into dwarf jail that he'd like to act out?
Okay, so yeah, well, first, I make a point of making meaningful eye contact with Revik as I'm hauled away.
Mm-hmm.
No, I this is a semi-public place, and I make sure that anybody along the way has a chance to hear what's going on. And and I take on a very paternal role with the guards. I tell as we're walking away, I'm telling them about like how I fought with their father, or all that kind of stuff. And like I seem, I try to put on the air that I'm being taken to my chambers.
Nice.
Yeah, and that this is and in fact, I if it's permissible, I had actually taken some action to ensure that I had reasonable, kind of Francis Bacon in the Tower of London type quarters. It's not really terribly awful. I have sympathetic guards tending to me and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you can affect the attitude of the people, and clearly the people think that you deserve 5-star accommodations while you're incarcerated.
Yeah, and that like it's clearly there's something going wrong if someone as important and respected as me is being thrown callously into the dungeon.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure that people will be making that known quite soon, perhaps in as many as 2 turns. And finally, Robbie, why don't you go ahead and do your card action if you'd just like to check off a box of your choosing, whether it's Crisis, Time Passes, or Crossroads. I know what I'd pick, but what would you pick?
I'm thinking Crisis. I mean, it sounds like, there's some increasing, factionalism that's getting stirred up.
Mm-hmm.
So, because the crisis just means that there's some type of like internal tension within the kingdom that is mounting. Is that the...
Yeah, basically any time a scene that has just been played, if it feels like the kingdom's coming apart or in big danger, that's when you go for the crisis.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that.
Sure. And now we're 1 box away from crisis, just in time for Luis's turn.
Oh boy.
Could we take a short...
Right.
Oh,
It is time. Yeah, let's take a 5-minute break, and then we'll wrap up head on to for the rest of the hour.
Okay.
Cool.
Right.
We'll see you all in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
For a chance to win, being drawn into an episode of Rick and Morty.
All right. I'm back. See, Richard and Luis are there.
Hello.
So when he gets back, we can start Luis's turn. And I'm hoping, as long as we watch our clock, we can get Richard's turn here. Because unless we hit crisis mode, we might. I mean, we may just end up going straight into crisis. But that's fun too. That'll be new for all of us. We haven't had a crisis yet. So no, I don't think you're stirring the pot too much. I think I'm enjoying this. Yeah. Mostly I just appreciate that you're coming in, dropping in for a session and having fun. That's the most important thing. Yeah. So everyone's back here. Shall we? Luis, are you ready to take your turn on?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
I'm thinking it's pretty straightforward, actually. I'm gonna have council meeting. I have people who are have their ear to the ground, but I actually want. Just double check names. I want Elam to have been able to sneak out of not sneak out, but talk his way out of prison and into the council, between the last scene and this one.
Okay.
Are you okay with that, Richard? Is that too much?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I figure it's like I figure I've kind of managed to just get a few guards to essentially swing over to where I effectively have the freedom of the castle a lot of the time, even or the chambers, just because I have a little bit of loyalty based on reputation.
All right.
So it's probably irritating to you, but yeah.
It's very frustrating. This kingdom is a mess. I never wanted to be the queen of it. Yeah, so I think you're there for sure. Ravik, I think you're in my council. You have a lot of gravitas around the kingdom. And Mike, Hex could be there as like a kobold envoy. Like maybe he represents their interests.
Sure.
I would be sure to give the kobolds a voice in the council, or you can create another council person if you think that would be more interesting. Is it going to be Hex?
Yes, I'll go ahead and portray Hex. You can be there.
All right.
So am I going to burst into the middle of things again as things are underway, or?
I think the council assembled before the queen. Like there's a whole procedure to it, and I arrive after everyone's already sitting. And I just get there and I survey the room and I see you there, and it just throws me off. I had a little like stone board with my agenda written down, and I just go, "What is that man doing in my council?"
I'm like erasing parts and rewriting, altering your agenda.
Oh my God! What? Get away from there! This man's supposed to be in prison. He disrespected me in public, in front of our guests. And I think we need a random council person to answer for this, or maybe you can speak up for yourself.
Let's see. I'll say, are you sure that you would like to? You would like the change of wind that would come with having me forcibly dragged from your council.
Who are you?
At this point, Hax would basically give his resume, at least what he knows about him, that he's, he was the.
Feel free to,
I would list what would be publicly known about your achievements, but he would also stress the fact that he was he was also that would also include in your resume that you were the butcher of such and such a place. Let's call it wait, where's my name? Let's call it the butcher of Ambercourt. Ambercoat. And he'll say that Stone Cold, but not say anything else, because it's not like this is the place for like a blood feud or whatever. I don't even know. Yeah, depending. I'm still sorting out how Hax would react to all this, but he's not happy to see you here.
I never heard it put that way. I like it.
Oh my God! And she just like visibly puts her hand to her face, and this is just a mess. All right, Lord Garnet Heart, it does seem you have a place on this council. We can discuss your indiscretions in a more convenient time because we have urgent issues to discuss. I will not tiptoe around the issue. We have to decide on whether we're going to keep pursuing whether we're going to gather forces and pursue our campaign against the homeland of the Wyrmblood King. I'm reading the other thing. Okay. If we're going to invade the lair of the Wyrmblood King, or if we're going to lend a hand to Ravix people. It has to be decided soon. Every minute we waste here, our dwarven blood being spilled on the battlefield.
I am at your service. I can only express the will of your people.
What do my people feel, Lord Garnet Heart, since you seem to know them so well?
Your people grow tired of sacrificing on behalf of others. Our kinfolk are suffering, and we have the capacity to alleviate that suffering. Every day that we go without lending our aid to our fellow dwarves is another stone added to the mountain of shame that accrues to this kingdom.
A mountain of shame. Oh, I wonder if a dragon would be able to take over a mountain of shame, and I wonder how much easier it would be to get rid of it once it did. Was that a mysterious voice from Jitsi saying something, or was it someone in the background?
Oh, sorry, that's my wife. Sorry, we just got.
Okay.
I'll be myself.
It's okay. And you were not here to know this, Lord Garnet Heart, but it was the very kobolds who helped us get rid of the beast. The only reason we're sitting in the halls of our forefathers is because of their help. It's not a light act. It's not a light decision to put their lives on the line again. And to do what's best for everyone as one people.
And
I
I think at this
know.
point, Hax would like
Oh,
to
go
speak up and say that yes, we were united in our mutual despising of the rule of the dragon that we all lived under. Well, almost all of us, he would say with pointedly.
Ravik himself, Ravik herself, a citizen from the hold being threatened, has suggested that they just take refuge here and abandon their home, so that we could all huddle together and weather the storm. We have to win this war with cleverness, not with ancient traditions and foolish pride.
When did you last visit the Hall of the Unburied, my queen?
It has been a while, Lord Garnet Heart, for I have lived with the ghost of my father in my ear for my entire adult life. Forgive me for not rushing to the hall to hear some more grievances from our deceased partners and citizens.
How can you claim to rule in the interest of these people and their descendants if you don't listen? Dwarven hearts know what is right.
Oh, they do. Like it was right for the Hammerdiggers to take over power and everyone and she just like shaking her own people here. To just clap along like a bunch of obedient, what was that animal again? Anyways, a bunch of obedient cavern mouses. What kind of pride is in that people? Had to basically force them into a revolution.
I cannot speak to the petty rivalries and factionalisms that preceded the current state of affairs. All I see is a grave injustice against our home and our values and the very heart of our kingdom.
Okay. You can keep talking about values and ideals as long as like until the cows come home, Lord Garnet Heart. Not that we ever had any, but it doesn't change the fact that we need action and we need objectivity. We need to analyze how much weight we can throw behind the forces that are fighting in this war if we're even able to win it.
I invite you to go to the public square and conscript your soldiers to go fight on the behalf of kobolds. See where that gets you with the people you claim to rule.
Oh, the people I claim to rule. You know what? Maybe I will do that, Lord Garnet Heart. Maybe I will see what they want. Maybe it's time for me to get away from this dusty old council chamber and actually walk among my people again. And that's me trying to...
You are sincerely invited to do so.
And that's... can I change role during a scene? No, yes, I can. I'm going to take the crown out of my head. And I'm going to smash it on the ground.
Oh.
Wow.
That's me paying the price. I never wanted this godforsaken throne, and I won't stand by and sit on it as my people suffer. I won't let people like you, Lord Garnet Heart, poison their minds against the real values of dwarven kind. I shall walk among them once more as equal, and they shall hear my words, not because I'm above them by name, but because I'm among them by blood.
And I think Revik at this point, after seeing the crown being smashed, says, "Bella, what are you doing? This cannot be good for the kingdom. This cannot be good for Glimmerhorn."
A kingdom is only as good as its people, and as long as there are voices out there that agree with Lord Garnet Heart, I can't be away from them any longer. They have lost their path, and it was once my duty to guide them, and it shall be again.
I mean, Revik says, and who Bella are you proposing should rule the kingdom? I mean, do you think that we should just be, every dwarf, every kobold for himself and herself?
You know what, Revik? You like institutional monarchy so much. Why don't you sit on the throne? I'm done. I'm walking away.
Which role is Bella taking at this point? Which role is Bella taking if she's dropping the power role?
I'm going touchstone.
Okay.
Well played.
We have two touchstones. How does that work?
I'm sorry. Oh well, basically,
I
think at this point what we need is touchstone. Basically, you just always define what that whatever attitude you have to what's going on is always whatever opinion the Bella has is the opinion of the people as well, unless of course challenged or by and when it's your turn, you get to or when you resolve a card, you can check. You can either add or take off a crisis check, and then you and then you get to do the normal check to the box depending on how you feel your scene went. That's how the touchstone works. And then, of course, you get to do touchstone stuff whenever we resolve a crossroad or a crisis or whatever. But that's generally how it works. I think at this point, you need to kind of like just describe a little bit how Bella kind of like becomes the touchstone and like kind of reconnects with the common people. If you just provide some description of how she goes about doing that after this very, very abrupt and very dramatic abdication of the crown.
I think she had lost contact with her power the minute that she rose to the throne, and I think that I'm gonna reverse that and say that to get back in touch with what allowed her to be so in sync with the people, which is gonna have to abdicate her identity. I think she's just gonna like change into a different person.
Oh, now is this related to your kind of like your prayer role as a stone seer? Is this what you're doing now related to that tradition at all?
Yeah, I think.
I know you don't have your magic powers anymore, but you are still you're still a stone seer, I suppose.
I think it's going to be a symbolic thing that I hope that people. I think they take it serious because it's a cultural thing. I think she starts wearing a stone mask.
Okay.
And she's no longer like the daughter of the former king. She's just, I'm going to come up with a cool fantasy name for it.
Interesting. So yeah, so basically this is like part of like the belief and the lore and the religious dogma of the stone seer tradition sort of thing.
Yeah. She explicitly holds no power over anything. She can never hold throne again, and her blood is forfeited. Like,
oh wow. I'm looking forward to seeing how Steven reacts to that when he comes back next week.
You what?
Yeah, you did what? But yeah, I think okay, so that's how you go about transitioning into touchstone role. Barring I guess I'm not sure if you get to since you started out as perspective, I can't remember if you get to use that power right away, or let me. I think you probably do. Man. Let me check that.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. In the meantime, well, I guess in the meantime, while I'm looking for that, is there anything else that you want Bella to do in this scene?
No, not really. She just walks away.
Yeah, that's quite a lot there as it is, right? I guess we can move into reactions, and then we'll come back to you, Louise, for the card stuff.
Sure.
Who wants to do the first reaction? I think Revik is you see the scene end, and Revik is she looks very very distraught and concerned, and I think you see Revik kind of going down to sweep up the remains of that crown that has gotten smashed on the floor, and as she's doing that, she also is keeping an eye on Hex and trying to get a read on Hex and how Hex is reacting to the situation.
Basically, he finds a way to tell you without being totally obvious, even though we're all kind of exposed. But he tells you that he's telling you to take the crown now, because he can't. If you don't take it, Elam will. That cannot happen. He will destroy all my people. You have to take the crown now. And he tries to tell that without like other people noticing, because he doesn't want you to be known as the puppet king of the kobolds, because that's not going to help any of either of us. But that's his reaction, is to try to urge you to change your role and assume the power role before Elam does it. So if you're not going to do that, if you don't do that now, we'll move on. Oh, actually, I can also let's make a prediction. That's what makes being a perspective fun. You get to make predictions and rate the ending, maybe. So if we
now, I mean, is it possible for me to change my role now? I mean,
yeah, you haven't done any one role action yet, so absolutely you can.
Yeah, I mean, I think with a little bit of that, indication from Hex, I think Revik will make that move to the power.
Mm-hmm. And we have established that you were the power at the beginning of the game, so you have no small amount of even back then you had no small amount of influence in the Glimmerhorn when it was still under council rule. What was I going to say? Well, I guess you can kind of describe how how the forces of I guess describe how do you present that and then we can find out if anyone wants to challenge it.
Yeah, well, I think I gather the remains of that smashed.
And also come up with what do you give up for that too? You have to give up something very, very significant for that.
I mean, okay, so it could be.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What if you're giving up your relationship with your brother?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That I was thinking some kind of that by taking this, I'm going to be kind of setting Glimmerhorn on a course of action that is not going to sit well with my brother or my family.
Yeah, the best way I could see that happening is if you commit yourself to focus, basically commit yourself to focusing on the mountain and the power struggles, and basically turning your back on helping your homeland get escorted out of their homeland because you're too busy with this stuff.
Maybe to declare yourself king, you have to come up with a new name for yourself, and that would be you abdicating your family name. Basically, you have to start a new lineage for you in Glimmerhorn tradition, which would cut you off entirely from your home tradition.
Yeah, that all sounds good. Yeah, so I'm gonna I'll make that as a note on the character sheet.
Now, does anyone want to challenge? Well, no, you can't. Wait, no, because you're not. I don't think anyone can challenge because you're not taking anyone's power role. You're not overthrowing someone. I don't think anyone can challenge you if you're just changing your role.
To a vacant role. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think you actually have to do something, and you can't do something because this is a reaction. This is the only thing you can do.
Yeah, I think you have to let it happen and then try to overthrow them.
Yeah. So that'll be your reaction. I gave my reaction. Ellum, is there an Ellum reaction to what Bella did?
Yeah, well, it's restrained. I am being very careful to underreact to this situation. I'm trying to be enigmatic.
Is there any? Do you want to use your? I guess either use your roll ability or. I'll assume you don't want to challenge Bella.
No, I don't. I have no. I'm not. I am perfectly willing to roll with things as they are.
Okay, and the people, do they remain equally inscrutable?
There is a sense of like that the people are in a fitful sleep.
Okay. Interesting. In that case, well, I guess we can go back to Louise. And since you are now a touchstone, you get to do two things. First of all, you can either add or subtract a crisis box.
Mm-hmm.
And what would you like to do with that?
Okay. I'm going to go crisis mode, baby. This mountain.
Oh, okay. We're already hitting it. So we're going to resolve the crisis, and then afterwards we have to let's not forget that after we do the crisis thing, then we go back to Louise because you still have to do your normal box checking thing. But okay, right. Here is the crisis. What do we do when a crisis happens? Okay, so when all the boxes of the crisis card are checked, we play to see if the kingdom survives or falls. For each step, basically there are going to be a number of steps to resolve the crisis. For each step, players will go one at a time in any order. So first of all, end game. We're going to decide now. Well, I would say first we have to decide whether this is the end of the game entirely. Since we still have one more session, I would assume we should vote no on this. Do you feel okay with that?
I'm not going to interfere. I'll just throw a grenade and leave the room.
Unless you RCP and get in next week, then you have to clean up your mess.
Yeah.
Next, what is the crisis? We should all agree to the general nature of the crisis. Let's see. Bella has just surprise abdicated her crown, and we're in the middle of the Revik's homeland, asking, like, being taken apart and asking us for help. And we also still have kobolds who have just settled into this land, and we have a bar leader who's not at all happy with that. So is the crisis basically? Would it be safe to say that we're basically just the crisis is? Will there be a peaceful, ruler? Will new ruler be recognized peacefully, or are we just going to start? Is a war going to break out? Does that sound like a
civil war or orderly succession?
Yeah. Okay. What do we see? Each player paints a picture of the crisis by describing what the character sees happening around them. Say where you are and say what you see. I guess we can have some leeway since this is a full-on crisis. We don't have to. I think we don't need to limit ourselves to this meeting anymore. We could all run back to our bases of power and describe what happens. Who would like to go first?
I can start.
Okay.
I think we see Bella walking among the people, and as she goes, there's like people flowing out of the council chamber, chasing after her and letting other people know what's happening. And then it starts a buzz behind her. People start finding out what's happening. I guess the word spreads fast inside this mountain. And
yeah. Oh, I should also clarify that. I'm sorry, Louise. I should clarify this scene. We're just
Oh, yeah.
basically describing where our character is and what they see. Our characters are not supposed to take action yet. That's the next phase. So we're just basically painting the picture
Yeah.
of the crisis.
All right.
So I'm sorry. Where's Bella and what is she seeing?
Yeah, she's walking among the people. The word is spreading. People are starting to panic. And then the next thing we see of her is just her wearing a stone mask, sitting in like a dark corner of a public place, just looking at the people with like this intense gaze in her eyes, which is everything that people can see now behind the mask.
Okay. Who wants to go next? Perhaps I
got a hell of a capper for this if someone else wants to go next.
Okay, so you'll go last. I'll go next. Axe will be in the what's the what location should he be in? Where I think we should decide. Oh, wait, let me go back to the list of locations. You know what? I think I'm going to decide that the deep pools is where the kobolds have settled. Kind of makes sense, since they, this is kind of where they kind of like twisted their fate by providing the poison that poisoned this water and killed the dragon. So we'll say that this is where the kobolds settled, and I'll reflect the character sheet accordingly. And I'm going to say that they are. That right now, the people, I think the kobolds are realizing that they're really that their lives are in danger, and they're planning on hiding deep within the caverns, like going into the unknown territory. I think that's what they're planning right now. That's how the kobolds are reacting. So that's my that's my picture painting. And Robbie, are you ready for Revik placement, I guess?
Yeah. So I think Revik goes I think Revik goes up to the summit of Glimmerhorn where those bones of the dragon are. And Revik is just kind of mulling things over and kind of wondering how in the world she's going to keep this mess together. But also when she gets up there, she's kind of curious to see what, if those dragon bones are giving any sign of some type of reawakening. And
that's even though you don't know, like Bella does, that something happened to those bones.
Yeah,
with her invocation.
But yeah, just thinking that this kingdom has been through so much, and and Revik wasn't there when the dragon was around, but it's kind of definitely thinking that, okay, I'm taking on a heavy burden here, and that burden kind of in a way begins with something that was not even there when that was there before I even came here, but recognizing that threat of the dragon that still is weighing heavily and still impacting this kingdom, right? All of that time that they had spent under that dragon.
Right, there's bound to be a lot of trauma. Like everyone's bound to be traumatized one way or the other. Sure. So that's Revik and Elam. Where is Elam and what's going on?
All right, I am in the well-appointed cell, and people are being. There's a procession of people who are coming in and paying their respects. There's like murmurs of like favors being. Yeah, exactly. I have a quick question. What is the disposition of the king's remains?
Oh, well, the king's remains are up and about because he was Steven's character. It was basically kind of like a lich well, not a lich, but like definitely some kind of undead dwarf king.
He was a burning
sorry,
ghost.
Louise?
I think he was incinerated.
Oh, burning ghost. Okay.
He was a burning ghost. Yeah, I think he's.
Oh, so he wasn't like a physical undead. He was a burning ghost undead. So
Okay.
that's
yeah.
okay.
That's my impression.
Okay. Well, in that case, that's a good question. All we've established is that there's a crypt for the first king, but we haven't really defined where the king was buried. I mean, for all we know, the dragon could have just swallowed him whole. For all we know. So let's say we don't know until you define it, I guess.
All right. After doing this for a time,
this might be something we say for the next phase.
This may be a scene. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what you see is me kind of gathering power.
Yep.
From my exile.
Now we have the what do you do phase. Each player describes what the character does or does not do in the crisis. You can try to save or destroy the kingdom, or save your own skin and escape. Say where you are and what you do. All characters who are part of the kingdom share its fate. If it falls, you fall with it. So this is literally like life and death here. If you want out, you can try to escape. Show your character giving up on the kingdom and fleeing instead of trying to save or destroy it. Abandoning the kingdom always weakens it. Your vote is automatically thumbs down. Kingdom destroyed in the next step. A character that flees the kingdom leaves the game. If the game continues, you got to make a new character. If another character wants to stop you, they can challenge your attempt to escape, but they cannot escalate to overthrow. If your escape is foiled, you remain and share the fate of the kingdom, but you must still vote for destruction because you tried to flee. So we're like in Titanic sinking mode right now. So it looks like in this phase, if you're trying to save the kingdom, what are you doing? If you're trying to, watch it all burn, how are you trying to destroy the kingdom? If you're trying to escape, just see what you're doing to escape, and then we find out what all happens to everyone. I'm sorry. Who would like to go first? Whoa.
Well, I can continue with my momentum then. I
Sure.
guess.
Yes. You're saying about the king remains.
Right. So, as the audience winds down, I get up and proceed to my back chamber, and
Your sounds a back chamber. I like that.
yeah. And a couple of guards bring in a box, and I have them lift the lid of it, and it contains the remains of the last king.
Okay.
And then from a cloth bundle that I have carefully wrapped, I remove a bone of the dragon that seems to be glowing with power.
And the dragon or the Dwarf King?
The dragon.
Okay.
And I place it within the reliquary. And it seems to enact some kind of dark magic.
Oh boy. Now, is this saving or destroying the kingdom?
Oh, this is destroying.
Okay. Interesting. I'm curious about we'll find out later what Elam's motivation is, but dark magic. Okay. Next, who would like to go next?
I can go next.
Sure.
I think Wyrmblood, who I'm gonna call Stoneface, is just people are just running around. That's my perception of it. There are arguments. There are certain noble houses trying to raise squads or something to fight other houses for power, and I think she's walking among the common people and like whispering words of wisdom to them, and just like it's in a very subtle sort of magic, kind of rallying the people together to make sure that they can all survive whatever's about to happen here. Like she's trying to calm the people down, basically.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Clearly, one for the save column. Robbie, would you like to go next, or shall I?
I have an idea that Revik knows that getting a group riled up for some type of warfare can sometimes be a powerful unifying force, and so Revik is setting about to start to give some orders to those who she knows are supporters, and says we need to take action, regardless of whether somebody from the outside would deem it foolish. The only way this kingdom is going to stay together is to give it a common cause. And, to give it a common cause, we need to kind of give the kingdom a sense that it is taking some type of decisive action that is necessary and that will be effective.
Okay. And finally, Hex will see that the kobolds are getting ready to just like flee into the darkness. And I think Hex will try to he's gonna try to stop them. I think he's gonna go for a he would go for a rally too. I think he figures that I think ultimately he's still gonna I think he still feels enough loyalty to Revik that he will trust that Revik, especially since Revik did take the crown on his behest. He can't abandon him now, and he's going to just basically try to remember the kobolds are basically play to their instinct as free scales, to not just cower and hide in darkness, which is which is where the dragons dwell. I'll play that card, and he'll basically try to talk them into standing up and remembering that this is their home and to fight for it and to fight for Revik. Rallies kobolds. So that is what everyone's doing. Now is the outcome phase. This is where we, based on what's been described, each player decides whether they think the kingdom should stand or fall. And this is what we make as a player, not as our characters. So what we do is you basically stick out a hand and vote simultaneously. Thumbs up if you think the kingdom should survive, thumbs down if it should fall, and flat if you're neutral. If your character tried to escape, well, no one tried to escape, but if you did, you would have to vote no, and then we just add the results, and the number, whether it's positive, negative, or zero, determines what happens. So I don't know, do we want to do on 3 counts and then give our thumbs up or thumbs down?
Sure.
That sounds good. We could even type it in chat, like 1, 2, or 3, and just hit enter at the same time.
Oh, that's true. Yes, technology.
Yes.
So yeah, let's just what do we like? Do we want to say? What do we want to say? How about just one for survive, -1 for fail, 0 for neither, and then on 3 we'll just go ahead and hit our enter button. So on 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Ooh.
Phew, it's a positive. The kingdom survived. So yeah, the result is positive. The kingdom survives. Describe the outcome of the crisis together based on what you've already seen. So based on what we've seen, well, first of all, let's find out. Richard, why don't you tell us what Elm was planning, was trying to do with his dark magic?
Well, I think that as he left on his sabbatical some years ago during the occupation, he was actually working as an agent of the dragon ruler.
What? The Wyrmblood King, the Kobold King.
The dragon itself.
Oh, okay. So you were sent on your mission before the dragon died, when he was still in the
Yes.
Okay.
To investigate means of preserving his power beyond death.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. So that's what you were in. That's what you were enacting then, a way to bring back the dragon.
Yes.
Interesting, because that's
So I'm trying to create a drawn out and costly war that will weaken the dwarves and allow the Wyrmblood King to prevail and aid in the restoration of the dragon.
wow. Okay. Well, so that was the mission. But we have established that the kingdom survived. So how do we see this? Given that it's 9:52 and we are pretty much ready to wrap up here. Although we do still have to give Luis his final check. We won't forget that. But how do we see this panning out where the kingdom survives? With Revik rallying the troops for a common cause, Bella calming the people down, and Hax rallying the kobolds. Revik, what common cause were you planning on trying to unite the dwarves behind?
Well, I'm Revik is clearly indicating, okay, I have a plan. It's going to be a decisive plan. It's going to be effective, but I'm intentionally a little ambiguous as to whether this is going to be directed towards attacking the kobold citadel, or whether it's going to be directed towards going where my people are holed up. So I'm just trying to kind of get the sense that okay, right, that there is an objective that I have in mind. We just need to start at least first mustering everything together, and then we will take some decisive action.
Mm-hmm. I like that take, but I do feel, and I know I'm not challenging because this isn't a challenge thing. This is really kind of a consensus thing. I do feel that in order to galvanize the people properly and with enough force to stem the tide of chaos, I feel that there should be a clear-cut mission, right. So I don't know if it's a matter of you really not knowing where you want to take, where you think the kingdom should go, or is this your character's uncertainty or your own uncertainty as a player, or what?
Are you planting the seed for the next crossroad? Is that
Well, no, I don't know that I would necessarily do that. I guess also Revik would really want to have some sense from Hex as to, I'm a little, Revik is a little, uncertain about how far Hex could be trusted and where Hex's loyalties are.
Okay, what could Hex do in the midst of this crisis to win your certainty? Because I'll just say as a player right now, I'm planning on playing him pretty straight up. He's not
okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you're concerned about him turning to the dragon or the Wyrmblood King, but that's definitely not what I have in mind.
Well, I would say if I know that if I have Hex behind, at least somewhat behind me, I would be saying, yeah, we are going to take over the Wyrmblood Citadel. That's going to be my focus point, and perhaps that would also then eventually, allow us to take some action against the Wyrmbloods that are attacking my people. But for right now, that this seems like the best course of action. Plus, it's much closer, and so if we could get some victory there, that certainly would kind of help to cement the unity of the kingdom, to see some type of victory over the kobolds around the citadel.
Yeah, what if while you're rallying the people, what if Hax shows up with his kobolds and says, "Yes, we'll unite." Well, and we will. And what if what if it's Hax who says, "We're he's ready to that they're all ready to help you take on the Wyrmblood Citadel, overtly, just say that in front of everyone." Would that be enough to galvanize both both assure Revik and galvanize the people to say, yeah, let's do this thing?
Yeah, I think so, and it probably would persuade at least some of the dwarfs that were a little on the fence with the kobolds to start thinking, okay, well, maybe this relationship will possibly turn out for the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, right. And yeah, and Hax can certainly play up the hatred of the dragon, because he's got, as a free scale captain, he's got to be at least a little fanatical in that. I mean, that's kind of a hardcore thing for a kobold to do, and a kobold does not just like kind of hate a dragon. If the kobold's actually going to hate a dragon, he's going to hate a dragon hard, right? Yeah. And you might see some of his fervor come to the forefront in persuading you that he's all in. Now we also have Bella, like, really calming the people, like the rank and file people of the dwarf. The stone face would be successful in just reassuring the people and kind of taking the, if you have like a mass of people and you kind of like take the panic out of them, it's a lot harder to like pull off a coup if people don't have that charged up energy that's just waiting to get channeled by a strong, decisive leader, like, whether it's a Revik or an Elam, and perhaps that also helps to prevent a bloody coup. And since the scene ended with Revik actually taking on the crown, would it be safe in assuming that yes, he is the new recognized ruler of the Glimmerhorn?
Yeah, I'll say yes.
And
I think she already had a bunch of how do you say, like, people already wanted her to be queen a while ago, and now it's just, okay, we took a little longer to get there, but we're here. Haven't really changed our opinion about it.
Now, the last thing, concerning Elam's plan, saving the kingdom, is there any room for us saving the kingdom and his ritual actually working?
So yeah, I mean, like the way that I envision it, and like whether if I'm in next week's game, it'll involve a little retooling. Sure. But that, like, he is essentially, his goal isn't to assume leadership; it's to among factions, so that the plan for the resurrection can proceed.
Okay.
I'm just pushing for whatever keeps everybody at each other's throats and moves things forward in that way. So, like, I'm probably going to use my my influence to force the queen to put me in, like, the inner council.
Well, king now, or whatever Revik calls himself.
No, Revik is a woman, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah, right.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yep. So, I burn whatever influence I have to get into that position. Okay. So that I can be a agent of chaos.
Okay. So well, perhaps we could say that in the course of this crisis, you've actually started the ritual that would resurrect the dragon, and whether or not that continues. I mean, we could play it out whether you're in or not, but certainly if you do get into the
feel free. If I'm not there, feel free to do whatever you want with it.
Okay. But it's almost like this crisis was kind of like a ruse in order to, like, if we were all worked up worrying about who's going to be the ruler, meanwhile you're pulling this thing off. Wheels within wheels. Nice. Cool. So that is the crisis. I'll go ahead and uncheck all those boxes so we can start accumulating for our next crisis. But all the other boxes remain, and we finally go back to Luis. You do still have, from everything that, I guess, well, technically just that last scene, but certainly the crisis too, because you can't not at least account for that when trying to figure out where your next checkbox would go. Do you feel like we've advanced towards the crossroad of saving Revik's homeland from the Wyrmblood King? You could check another if you feel like, you could do another crisis box if you think there's still danger in the air, or like a time passes if you think people just want to catch a breath. It's your call.
I'm gonna say Crossroads because I mean Ravik is in power now. If that's not gonna advance the Crossroads, then what is?
Right. Good point.
Like I think she only needs to convince people to actually go along with what she wants, but she's got a clear idea on what she wants to happen here. She's not
Sure.
concerned about anything.
Okay. Well, we got off to a slow start, but we've certainly shaken up the status quo here. We've got a stone face. We got a new touch. Well, no, we've still got 2 touchstones because Ellum is still touchstone.
Yeah.
And a traitor and a dirty dragon resurrector. And yeah, Revik's the queen. So I think that will be our conclusion. Yeah, this is Mike, and on behalf of Luis and Robbie and Richard, if you're watching this video, thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed watching this. I had fun playing it with you guys. And we've got one more session. We'll see who's here and who gets to write the final tale of Dwarf Mountain. And now I'm going to hit the stop recording button